This is the kickoff of MAU Vegas 2025. I'm Jen Donahoe. I host Deconstructor of Fun. We are a game industry podcast, and I'm also a reformed big company game industry marketer. Monopoly Go, that's the reason we're here today, is the mobile game that has broken records and rules, and I'm thrilled to speak with Scopely CMO Ben Webley. We're going to go behind the scenes and unpack a lot of what made the go-to-market so amazing. So before we jump in, let me just set a little bit of the game board with a little background on Monopoly Go. So Monopoly Go launched back in April of 2023, and it broke a ton of records. It was the #1 game launch of that year. It reached $1 billion in revenue just 7 months later. It was one of the fastest mobile games to ever reach this milestone. Fast forward, and Monopoly Go is still crushing it. They just announced passing $5 billion in revenue in just 2 years. One of the things that I learned from Monopoly that I've been really impressed with is that they have such global awareness. And what's really interesting is most people think that Monopoly is from their own country. So how did you think about leveraging this kind of insight that is really unique for an IP, which is everyone thinks that the IP is from their country?
Yeah, so I've got a quite an interesting story. Actually, it's an embarrassing one for me, but here we go. And I was in a meeting with Hasbro and a bunch of Hasbro executives, and they were talking about playing Monopoly growing up. And I was really confused, and I asked them, I was like, you guys played Monopoly growing up? And they're like, well, yeah. And I was like, oh, that's weird. And they were like, why is that weird? I was like, well, it's a British game. I just didn't think that would be that popular in America. And so obviously you have to be laughed at for a while. One of the executives actually said to me, well, to be honest, he said, what's really interesting with this brand is that people actually think it's their own game in their own country. He said in France, they think it's French, and in the UK, they think it's British. And that's what's so great about this brand. Everyone thinks it's their local game. I think I hear a lot of people talk about Monopoly as global IP, and it didn't resonate with me. And I thought that wasn't the right way for us to think about it. So instead, what I asked the team to think about, and for myself as well, I was like, I think this isn't a global IP. That's the wrong way to think about it. This is everybody's local IP. We work with a lot of IP at Scopely, and it's really important when you work with IP to be very respectful to the IP, to be very authentic to the IP. And I wanted to do that with Monopoly. So instead of just localizing the creative, we went to the level of truly culturalizing the creative. So I wanted to make sure that the creatives themselves were truly culturalized, because I wanted to give everybody their game and bring that nostalgia and make it feel like the Monopoly they knew and loved. So it was a lot more work. I won't lie. We created thousands and thousands of creatives because we were trying to do that in as many countries as possible. But I think it paid off, and I think it was so important. And we wanted to win in every country. We did. We got to #1 over 100 countries, which we're very proud of. We had a strategy we called Leave No Country Behind, because we just didn't want to sort of leave countries out. We wanted every country to get their version of Monopoly, and we were playing to win, and we wanted to win in every country. We also have a philosophy at Scopely, and that's we try and break our own ideas. And I think this is important both for product and for marketing. And what we mean by breaking our own ideas is, I think as humans, like human nature, is when we come up with a good idea, we seek out the information and the data that supports that idea, right? And I think we'll do it. And I think it's very natural to do. And one of the things we try and do, be it, and again, I'll walk through this example with the app icon in a minute, but is we try and challenge our ideas, not just looking for other information, but actually looking for information that basically makes our idea wrong, that breaks it, right? In the way we look at it is, if you try and break your ideas enough and they just don't break, then they are good ideas. If they break easily, it's not a good idea, and you should really rethink about that. Here's an example of app icon testing. Now, this is doing a disservice to the number of app icons we actually tested. We created a lot. So the first thing we did is we put out a bunch of different icons, right? And you can see in the first test, again, there were a lot more than this. These are just some samples of things that we thought are going to resonate. Now, I care about every little tiny part of the funnel. So app icon, it's important to me.
The #1 thing.
Yeah, it's important.
In ASO.
It's as important as the creative, as a description. Every part of the funnel can be optimized, so we should optimize every part of the funnel. So with the app icons, we asked the team, okay, let's go and test a bunch of stuff. We did player insights testing as well as ASO testing. But if you see the green box around the top left icon in test 1, that's actually the one you see today. So that was the winning creative. But after we did the first test, rather than stopping there, but also rather than saying, oh, that's probably the best icon, let's just check. Instead, we said, no. We don't like it. We want to find a better icon. Like, let's break that icon. There's got to be something better. Let's go and find something better. And the difference, I think, in doing that is your mindset's different, right? If you're trying to just say, it's probably the best one, let's do some other tests, you're not really trying to break it, right? You're not really putting the effort in. So we really tried to find something better. In fact, I didn't tell my team I liked the icon. I actually told them I didn't like it and I wanted a different one. And so I was like, let's go find something else. That's not good enough. Let's find something else. But the whole point is we just kept trying to break it, trying to break it.
Well, one of the things that's interesting, and I was having this conversation with someone recently, is notice that it's red. And so in my prior world, I made a lot of toys, all these different toy brands. And what I always found is that red packaging tended to do the best because it's a hot color, whereas blue and some of the lighter colors are cool colors. And so you feel more calm. Red is more attention-getting. Red or yellow are hot colors. And so pro tip is always make sure that you are testing cool versus hot and understand, red does kind of, it's why red and yellow tend to be the most popular ASO backgrounds. Free tip for everyone going into that. Cool. All right. So you broke it. And then, let's talk a little bit about like how people actually break each other playing this. I don't know how many of you like fought with your family every holiday playing Monopoly, but it is a timeless game that has two kind of core aspects or key aspects to the core fantasy. So one is you're making alliances and then you're breaking them. The game features actually leverage this incredibly well. But how did you take that core fantasy of like alliances and breaking alliances and really look at that from a community and a social perspective to really think about the virality from a marketing perspective?
Yeah, I mean, if you've played Monopoly Go, you realize this game's a lot more fun and rewarding playing with others, right? And that's by design. This game is really designed to play with others. One that's very true to Monopoly, right? It is a game where you're playing with people you love, but you're also attacking them and taking all their money, right? Yeah. So we want to capture a lot of that in the game. A big part of this game is the sticker trading. So there's, you're attacking each other, you're doing co-op events together. The meta around this game, trading, is very, very popular. It gives a sort of larger purpose to why you're doing the core loop every day. We made a very conscious decision in the product to not build the trading into the product, which sounds counterintuitive because it'd be nice and easy if you and I can trade and we click a button, right? It'd be very easy. But one of the things is we really care about building hyper-engaged communities at Scopely. And, we believe a lot of the biggest and best games have that. They have huge communities around them that live and exist outside the product. So we wanted to kind of meet communities where they are and develop communities outside the product. And we wanted trading to be a way communities engage with each other and not just a transaction. So instead, what we did is we pushed the trading to Facebook. We have about just over 9 million people in our core group today. And if we figured if we push them to Facebook, there they can meet people, they can interact, they can trade, and it's more of a community platform. Then we thought about, well, how can we leverage, though, this really engaged big population of people to help sort of, drive awareness and promotion? So one of the things we did is I was like, we need to get them to TikTok. So we had this place now where we could talk to our really engaged community members. We did more things like that where we were moving people onto TikTok, onto Insta, where we could then get things going where, again, those channels themselves are going to show the game to new people. And that's what I wanted. So again, like these sort of whole community groups, they're not only great for building community around the product, they can actually be leveraged and used in a way that helps us drive more virality and organic growth for the product as well.
So back in November, you actually launched a brand campaign. It's called Friendship Pays. And so this had Will Ferrell as Mr. Monopoly. It also had Chris Pratt, Keke Palmer, and then the best hair guy of all time, Jason Momoa. So in this campaign, everyone knows that friendship is a part of this, even though it's also about, breaking alliances. So there's often this tension that happens between performance marketing and brand marketing. I know all of you feel it. But you were crushing it anyway, absolutely winning. How did you think about and conceptualizing, okay, now we want to do a brand campaign?
Yeah. So we actually see this, we don't really think of brand campaigns. We think more around how do we extend what we're already doing, and we think of it more 360. So, first of all, we didn't do this campaign for about 18 months after launch. I'm a big believer for launch, community, creative, and UA. do so much heavy lifting. So think 360, everything, influencers, TV, connected TV, UA, it all worked together and it was all part of the campaign. We actually saw this as, this is going to be like this thing that's going to last over a year. And we're going to build creative in a way that benefits UA, it benefits social and TikTok. And we actually recorded, and by the way, Jason, wonderful guy, has great hair, but they were a lot of fun. So we were trying to get things, even with them authentically, to record, you know, some things they were doing where they're talking to the camera and they're messing around, because we're like, that's not good for TV, but that's fantastic for TikTok.
Thank you for sharing the secrets, and thank you to the marketing team behind this. You know, they often don't get all the credit. The game team gets a lot of the credit, so I'm glad that we had a chance to hear a little bit more of the story.
Awesome.
Cool.
Thanks for having me. Cool.